Welcome back to another video. Today we're going to have a discussion with Josh from Florida about twinkly lights and Christmas lights in general. I know that is a very popular topic on my channel, and I think you've already seen Josh in some of our videos live streaming Saturday night playing Fallout 76. Sadly, we haven't had much time to do that lately as we would like to, but we have been discussing what we wanted to do in terms of Christmas light, and as you already know, you've probably seen a lot of my Christmas light videos already, so that's what this video today is going to be. Welcome, Josh. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Josh. I've been playing Fallout 76 with Martin for a couple months, and he's actually the one that introduced me to twinkly lights, and I've been very happy with them. You know, I debated whether or not I wanted to go all out with, real fancy, highly technical LED display that you got full customization options and you can program everything. And, realistically, I knew that was just something I didn't have time for. But twinkly lights, I saw, you get the RGB display and it's a lot easier, a lot of customization, but still easy to set up. So I was real impressed with Martin's twinkly light videos, and I went out and I got probably more twinkly lights than I should have.
Yeah, that's exactly the thing. I've also been looking at videos about people who are making their own homemade LED light shows and some of those very big, elaborate computer control shows, and it looks like something that could be fun to make, but I also do not have the time. That's just not enough hours in the day to do that. So what can we do if we don't have the time to do all of that? Well, that's also why I started buying these lights. So I think what we're going to do today, we're going to have a discussion about what our plans this year, and you have had these lights for some time also, so we can also have a figure out, is there something that didn't work for us as planned, or have we had to adjust to our expectations to what we wanted to do compared to what we thought we would do initially in our mind? I know I have a few suggestions, but a few ideas of things that worked and didn't work as planned, but I'm not sure how we should start this, but I guess I know you have set up some display already, and you've been busy already. I haven't been doing much this year so far. I have made a video already. You might have seen about me testing out the lights and some features in the software. I thought that was buggy. That's an earlier video. It turns out it was my phone. So I would like you to start, I think, because I'm actually more interested in hearing what we have been doing, because I can see you have been busy.
Sure. Well, first, when you had the trouble with putting twinkly lights, the version 1 specifically, you said it was just your phone that was the issue, though? Did you just have to reinstall? Yeah,
I thought it was because it was the earlier version, and I thought maybe they had skipped it and they had just, abandoned it, sort of. And I was sort of disappointed because some of the animations that I did the earlier years, they kind of were wonky and wouldn't work right, and that was a major disappointment because it's not a cheap product. What we get from buying this is we get to not building our own systems from the ground up, and that comes of course with a premium price. So mine just didn't work right, and I couldn't install the effects and the animations, and it was very weird. But it turned out to be the phone, actually. Maybe it's because I got the first version of the software back in the day, and that they've been upgrading it, and I had all my animations from back then, all my configurations. So you know about computers as well, so it happens sometimes when you have a product that gets upgraded with new features and you have data that's very old and configurations that are very old. Sometimes there's some legacy information and some things that doesn't work right, and it's probably just better to scrap it. So yeah, I installed it from the ground up again, just removed it from my phone and all the accompanying data, installed it again, and were 10 times faster,
Good.
more stable. It was like getting a completely new system.
Yeah. When you said you were having issues, I was real concerned when I was going to bring mine out because, with a product like this, I think it just comes with a 1-year warranty. And honestly, that's just a one holiday warranty, really, because by the time the next holiday comes around, that warranty's already gone. So, yeah, I was concerned, just plugging this in after a year. I was crossing my fingers. Please turn on.
Yeah. Because some of the wires, if we've got to be honest, they're a bit thin and flimsy.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I was also concerned about corrosion and water getting into the LEDs. And I have had, cheap LED lights with the same look as these have in the build. And those sometimes only lasted one Christmas, and there's a bit snow and rain and whatever. And next year they were corroded and wouldn't work. But I haven't had any failures yet. And how many years I've been running it? 4 years, certainly,
4 years now.
From the old one, 3 or 4 years, and they've still been working, all of them. So, they still work. So, that's a good thing at least.
Yeah.
So,
well, so last year was my first experience with Twinkly lights, and getting it set up initially, it was definitely quirky to say the least. Every single one of them, of course, needed a firmware update, and of course, half of them during the firmware update, stuff just stops working, and I'm afraid I was afraid I was going to brick a couple of my lights just during the firmware updates. But, once firmware updates are done and once you get a nice, strong connection, and that's the other thing, too, you got to make sure you've got really strong Wi-Fi making it outside. So if you've got a cinder block home, it gets hard to get that strong Wi-Fi signal out there in front of your house. But,
I think you're right about that, because I also experienced, now you're mentioning it, that firmware upgrades failed. Sometimes I had to do it 10 times before it got through. And I think one of those problems were actually because of my poor Wi-Fi coverage. I also had another video on my channel where I installed a new Ubiquiti access point out in my workshop. And the reason were twofold. Main reason was because my car couldn't get updates and couldn't talk to phone home. That didn't always work, and I could also not do streams probably outside in my workshop. And finally, I also needed coverage for the Twinkly lights, so they could work as well.
The important thing, absolutely.
Yeah, and my house is it's concrete and brick, and even though in real, as a crow flies, it's just 6 or 7 meters out to my carport, and the Wi-Fi should be covered by that. But if you take a look in a direct line, how many walls do I have to go through to get out to my garage, my carport, or my workshop? It's like, even though it's only a few meters, it's 5 walls it has to go through, and that's just not going to work. So that's something you have to consider when you install the lights. And do we have enough proper Wi-Fi coverage where they're going to be installed?
And I'd just like to add, 4 or 5 years ago when Twinkly first came out, these kinds of apps weren't really readily available, but there are apps available now for any viewers. And, if I remember, we'll put some links. There's apps now where you can test your Wi-Fi signal, and it'll have you stand here, you test it figures out the strength, and you move somewhere else in your house, and it gives you a real good picture of the quality of your Wi-Fi, and for something like Twinkly, that's really useful.
It absolutely is. So you get an idea how well is it working, and if you not too sure about that, you could also run speed tests, something simple like that. How fast does it work when you're standing directly beside your access point? But having an app specifically for that, I had another one. A program, and I have a dongle-ish thing I can show today that can show you interference like microwave control, microwave ovens and stuff like that, baby monitors and all that stuff. That will put a disturbance into the signal and can cause degradation of the quality of the signal. And you can't see that on your phone or your computer. It's just hidden, and you need a frequency scanner. And there was a company, I can't remember the name, it doesn't matter right now. Wi-Spy was the name. And then they started by making a really affordable spectrum analyzer you could buy and connect to a computer, and then it got so popular that the price got tenfold. So I won't recommend that. So sadly,
yeah, those devices absolutely. When they first started coming out, early Wi-Fi days, those were really expensive, and yeah, now that there's apps available, it takes a little work, especially if you've got a big space. But it's definitely worth it. You can figure out where all those cold spots are.
Spend some time and figure out which channels are the best to use for your setup if you're having problems with the light. Definitely, I think it is understated a bit when people look at these products that you need to have proper Wi-Fi coverage. It's not often something people think about.
Absolutely. So, that's what I was going to add too. This is, although I said, it's kind of a product that's easier than those huge, you got to program RGB displays. This does still require a little TLC to get set up.
Yeah, it definitely. And I have colleagues at work who have been buying this, and I think the Wi-Fi, that's a must. That is simply what people have experienced most of the times I've talked to people who had problems with them. So, and a bonus tip, but the app says that now. I don't know if it's reflections in when you are scanning the twinkly lights first in mirrors and walls and reflecting surfaces. That can be a bit of a problem sometimes when you have to map in all the lights, but that is doable, fixable.
Yeah, and that's absolutely this one here. With this I would put in the window, and I'll show you. So they're actually for these two windows here. And let me and I had a real hard time with these, trying to get them mapped just because they were in the window. And the other problem I have is simply because the spacing here is so close. With having these mounted all on my house, it was such a wide display that it just couldn't map at all. So that was really the hardest thing I had, was just getting it mapped. And I'm kind of getting a little ahead of myself. Let me tell you what I got going on here.
Sure.
So this will be for a separate video because I bought a lot of my twinkly lights. And like I said in the beginning of the video, I bought more than I probably should have. I only got about halfway through with the amount of twinkly lights I had. But I wanted, with twinkly lights being a premium product, being a more expensive product than just a standard strand of lights, I wanted to do it right. So, I was always admiring the houses you drive down by, and, all the lights are just perfectly spaced apart. And then, you go to the next house and it's kind of just thrown everywhere. And it's a real big difference, at least to me. So I really wanted to take the time to get the spacing and just really make it look as good as I really could. So what I did is I bought a bunch of PVC pipe, and these are different sizes. And like I said, I'll do a separate video showing exactly what I did, but just a quick overview. So I just got different size PVC pipes, measured it all out, got some special hooks for the roof line. And these lights here are the ones that I use for the roof line. And it's about a 6 foot to 8 foot piece. And I just mount it up, go on to the next one, mount it up, next one, mount it up. So after I've done this, it takes 10 minutes to mount it. But getting it to this point, it took days and days. It took a lot of time to get this stuff set up. But this year, this portion that I've already completed, it'll go up in no time at all.
Yeah, that's the preparation you did now. It's going to save you time this year and next year as well. Also, so it's not all lost work so far.
Yeah.
I had these small metal hooks on my on my house, so I can also easily install them every year now. And I think actually for the first few years I did a lot of things with cable ties and and all kinds of things, and it was a royal mess to get it up and get it installed. And so I realized I'm going to do this every year. I might as well do a bit of preparation. So definitely think ahead and say, what can I do that takes a bit more time now, but saves me some time in the long run.
Absolutely.
That makes it better.
Yeah, that's my philosophy for Christmas lights as well. Because, I mean, that way you're always building onto it as opposed to just struggling to get the same stuff up every year, Yeah. So, and we have lived in this house for over 3 years now. But up until last Christmas, we were always traveling to family afar for Christmas. So last year was the first time I actually got started with some Christmas lights on this house, and wish I had gone a little further. But now that this is going up on YouTube, maybe that'll give me a little more motivation to get some more done this year.
Yeah, we need to see that video of you completing the project. I think, I'm going to hold you to that to get that done. Yeah, I'm doing a few things differently myself. I haven't made my Christmas video this year. In terms of YouTube planning, I'm doing a bit wrong because I always release it too late. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to install the video, install the lights in October and record it, and then release it mid-November. Or I'm going to install it when I'm actually installing it. So I think I'll have to do it more like a vlog style also this time. So this time I'll be doing almost the same as the other years. What I have learned and what I would like to do different, and why I did that video 2 weeks ago or something like that, I can't remember now, is that Twinkly lights have a lot of different animations. And I have been doing, well, if you see my other videos, some that doesn't really lend itself to elaborate, like animations, but I would like to do this this time around this year. So I think if I would do something different, most of my installation would be the same, but one of the strands I will mount, of the chains, what we call it, I will mount underneath my wall Twinkly light than I did in my last video, so that I get a bigger surface with LED lights. So
yeah,
I would like to try that this year to see if that would work. So since those both are revision 1 of the Twinkly lights, they might work together. And then I have the newer one as icicles along the front of the house. So I'll keep that as a separate chain with a separate animation, and then I'll try to join the two together, the other ones, into one animation. Now that's my plan this year, what I will do differently, and see how that would work out for me.
Yeah, I'm real anxious to see that. I had that similar idea, making it to where it's almost like a pixel art. Yeah. So I saw you had the pumpkin and stuff in one of your videos, and it looked like a pumpkin to me. So
yeah. So if only I could get a bit more resolution, a bit more. So I have in my carport, as we've seen, parked my car, and I have the door into my workshop. So the wall lights a bit in the way, but I can just go through them. And if I'm going to install the others, it will be hard to get through the door. But so I'll have to find a workaround for that, something temporary, so I can perhaps move them out of the way and get through the door. Anyway, so I'll have to take a look at that, how I'm going to do that. But that's definitely something I'm going to try out. So that is my plan so far. So see if I can get some of the fancy features to look cool. So also to make something a bit different this time around. Yeah, well, so,
I'm going to hold you to that, because I'm anxious to see how that comes out.
You just do that, and I was sure to make a video about it. And one of the things that have been tough, last year was the first time I used my new Panasonic GS5S camera, which, if you are a camera nerd, there's probably already a new one out or whatever, but that takes a bit more tinkering to get it to work right, but it has so good low light sensitivity that I think I can make it look even more awesome, like my video last year. But that's part of the fun, I suppose, making the videos. It's getting the gear to work. That's always the issue, I think.
So this year, how many, I know you've got a couple strands, you got the icicles. What else Twinkly do you have? Are you planning on getting any more this year?
I was sort of looking for something. I was kind of trying not to spend money because I've spent way too much money this year on other stuff. But I was sort of tempted if I could get a new wall light, so I could join those together into one instead of. But I haven't been able to find them in any shops.
Oh, really?
Actually,
Twinkly?
No, I could not Twinkly lights. They have Twinkly lights, but they only have them like single strands, long strands with a few hundred lights, and Icicles and some other products. But I could not find another, like a wall or something like that I wanted to get. I could not find that anywhere. So I don't know if it's anything to do with all those supply chain problems, or they don't have it as a product anymore. I'm not entirely sure, but I didn't find anything that made me say I want this will actually help me do what they do, because they have, if you look at the app, they have all these, as I said, very fancy animations, but none of the products I could find for sale in Denmark, at least here, seem to be very good for that purpose. I would need to do some sort of mount, like you're doing a mount for your window, I would need to do something like that. So that was a bit weird. So there wasn't like an open shot case where I said, yes, I need to get that now. So good for my wallet, but not good for my installation. So yes, I had 3 Twinkly lights, 2 Generation 1 and a Generation 2, I think. And then, of course, I have all these regular LEDs that are single color. I do have some in multiple colors, but they're not animated. They're just simple chains that aren't have any fancy features, except that they're sort of like a prosumer professional products, and they have these really thick wires that's really durable, and they have like a system where you can couple them together and split them out, so you don't have to run wires except for the chains out to where you want to get them. So I'll continue to use those, and so no new major purchases so far, but now you kind of got me interested in go browsing a bit again.
Yeah, well, like, not to but I still got so many lights from last year. So I'm not going to be getting any more this year. But next year, depending on how this year goes, I very well may get some more Twinkly. Maybe Twinkly 3.0 will be available by then. Perhaps.
I know they have a pro. Professional
yes. Yeah, I did see that too. And I remember vaguely last year, I think it works with X lights. So the Pro version, you can still use the Twinkly product and do it a little more easily, but you can also program each individual light using X lights. So
it's probably more expensive.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I think I did look into it. I think it was about 50 to 100% more than the consumer level.
Okay.
Home
Not
version.
This year. I think I'd rather want a new graphics card than on your computer.
Yeah.
If it comes to that.
Yeah.
So I think that's going to be really interesting to see what we both get out of it this year, and we have now committed ourselves, both of us, to make a new video and what we're going to do. And if any of you watching this are interested in something or have any questions, just feel free to ask them down below in the comments. I'm not just saying that as some big YouTubers do. We actually have time to answer questions, and if there's any interest in it, we'll do a follow-up video on this, and otherwise we'll probably cover a lot of other topics in the future, and sort of this format is something we're trying to do here. So hope you liked it, and subscribe and like and so forth to me and Josh's channel. There's a link to his as well down below. So until next time, have fun on the interwebs.
Thank you.
Cheers. Bye.